Hi, everyone. So just before we start, I just want to say that on one of my slides, which is now working, there's a swear word, so apologies if anyone is offended by that, but I can't change it now. So I'm Danni, and I run a body confidence and body positivity project called the Chachi Power Project. And interestingly, we're talking about change. My tagline for my whole project is change the world by learning to love your body, because I feel like if we do something internally for ourselves, we don't really recognize the impact that that can actually have on the people around you. You know, it's like the butterfly effect. You don't quite know who you can impact, who you can have a difference to. And I think making an internal change about your body image can have an impact bigger than we think. So I never liked my body when I was growing up. By the time I got to 33, and I'm 36 now, I had been told over and over again that my body wasn't quite good enough. Whether it was from other people saying cruel things about me, or whether it was messages from the world around me, one thing is for sure, I told myself it every single day. And I'd given up on my body. I didn't respect it, I ignored it, and yet the way that I thought it was perceived by others affected pretty much everything that I did. And then in 2016, I did a few courses and read a few books and realized a few things. Prior to the courses, I thought that everything to do with my life was connected to this body. And because my body wasn't good enough, my life would never be quite good enough. And what the courses helped me realize was that my life is made up of a million different things. What I say, what I create, what I do, my actions and my interactions. My life is made up of everyone that I've ever met. It's made up of all of you now. And I realized that this body does not dictate what is possible for me and my life. So it was a bit of a light bulb moment. I realized that this body is just one little part of my big old life. But it's very important, because it's the thing that helps me live that life that I want to live. And I need it, and I rely on it. And when I realized all those things, I also realized that I had spent far too many years being very cruel to it, taking it for granted. It was time to stop being so hard on it and start showing it some gratitude and appreciation and compassion. And after that realization, I started to recognize how much of my time and energy those negative thoughts had stolen from me. At first, I was horrified, and then I got really angry about it. I love my just one word slides. Angry. And now I'm committed to not wasting any more of my life thinking that way. I had never noticed how many areas of my life my bad body image had permeated. It was subtly woven into hundreds of moments of every day. Have I shaved my armpits? Does this top hide my back fat? Can I eat in the restaurant, or will I gain weight? Have I plucked my eyebrows? Would I be expected to wear makeup at that meeting? Can I eat a biscuit in front of people at that meeting? Or will it make me look gluttonous? Is this skirt flattering? What do they think of me? I'm not going to present my idea. They'll compare me to her. Does he think I look disgusting? Does any of that sound familiar? Those thoughts took up a lot of space and time and energy. They stopped me from doing so much stuff which I now realize I have missed out on forever. It didn't affect every moment, but a large amount of how I moved through the world was connected to how I felt about my body. But since I started this project, I've realized I wasn't really that weird. Pretty much everyone doesn't like their body or bits of their bodies. It's really normal to feel that way that I did. Loads of people do what I used to do, and they pick and poke at the bits they don't like. It's the way we bond, and we laugh together about it, comparing bingo wings or competing to show whose stretch marks are worse. We read magazines which circle celebrities' imperfections. We shy away from disabled bodies because we aren't taught to empathize with another's experience and see people as human. We talk daily about the war on obesity without seeing the people suffering extreme stigmatization behind those words. We giggle about girls at festivals in tiny hot pants. We watch TV and openly comment about the bodies we see, even in front of our kids. Then in private, we claw at our own spotty skin or our cellulite. We discuss the new diet and work, and we overwork our bodies in the gym for a flat tummy or a thick butt. We don't go out, we cry, we Photoshop, we filter, we criticize, we compare, and we don't think there's a way to ever be happier unless we make ourselves smaller, smoother, or more attractive to others. In this hypercritical world, all of this is very normal. But what I've come to realize is this should not be normal. If you really think about it, our bodies are just an assortment of bones and muscles and organs, which makes us human. Feeling bad about how a jumble of bones and organs looks, down to the spots on our skin, the size of our tummies, the hair under our arms, is kind of silly. Vilifying or judging another human because of those things is not only cruel, but futile. We are just one step away from being an animal, so why are we so consumed by the perception of our bodies? So in 2017, oh, look at that one. I started this project to help others feel better about the bodies they live in. As I said, it's called the Chachi Power Project. And now I blog, I create content, I do workshops for children and adults. I run events and a retreat related to body image and self-care and what that looks like for all of us. So, we're surrounded by all of these different sort of words in this sort of area: positive body image, body confidence, self-esteem, self-love, body positivity. And what I'm getting from some of your answers is it seems like it's a very individual attitude towards what your body is. Your own idea of how much value or worth or attractiveness your body has, you think your body has. So it seems to be like, how good do I feel about my body and its capabilities? But how often do we ask ourselves, why do I feel like this about my body? We are so buried within the idea or the feeling or the emotion towards our body, we forget to question why we are thinking or feeling that way. And I have a secret to tell you. If you do ever feel bad or sad about your body, it's probably not your fault. This is where the body positive movement comes to the floor. And body image is similar to body confidence. It's your perception of the aesthetics or attractiveness or sexual attractiveness of your own body compared to the standards that have been set by society. The body positive movement is actually a political movement. It is focused on fighting for the respect and acceptance of all bodies, for all bodies to be treated equally, which does not happen in society currently. The movement fights for the rights of marginalized bodies mainly, focusing on people of color, people with disabilities, gender variations, age, size, shape, and health status. The movement talks about the various intersections of how different bodies are oppressed in different ways. Like, for an example, how different it is for a thin, white, able-bodied man, young man, to move through the world in comparison to an old, black, fat, disabled woman. The body positive movement talks about racism, ableism, ageism, fat phobia, health trolling, sexism, gender, queerness. It talks about the inequality and lack of access to jobs for people of color and people living with disabilities. There are discussions about biased medical treatment for fat versus thin patients. It talks about trans rights. There's many discussions about privilege. It discusses the role of media and celebrity culture and how diet culture fuels how we see ourselves and each other. Hey, Kim. It talks about social media, eating disorders, beauty standards, and how our brains work. It platforms and lifts the veil from the bodies we never get to see in the mainstream. There are people within the movement who share their own bodies to try and rewire our brains, move us away from what we are told and now think is normal to what is actually normal. Seeing images like these every day has definitely altered my perception of what beauty is and what a normal body should look like. I'm going to play a game with you, and I want you to all, if you feel comfortable, you don't have to close your eyes, but like if you can close your eyes or dim your eyes or whatever, for 2 seconds, I want you to imagine yourself on a street corner, and you're watching all of these people walk by you, and they're all really happy. And they're all really happy with their bodies. And they're all really happy with their faces and their hair and their clothing and what they look like. And I want you to open your eyes, and I want you to tell me what industries in this world would be impacted if everybody felt happy in their own skin. Hair and beauty? Fashion? Alcohol? Cosmetic surgery? Pharmaceuticals? Aesthetics? I can't hear that. TV and film, media culture? Social media? Gambling.
Buy this car because whatever.
Yeah. Oh my God, you got my next slide. So, I mean, we could probably go through like all of the different industries that are impacted by people. So what, within the body positive movement, there is a lot of talk about the amount of people that would be affected if we were all happier in our skin. And that is capitalism. Capitalism is the main drivers. I mean, we missed out on a big one, diet culture, the diet industry. They are the biggest benefactors of us not being happier in our bodies. And they are pushing a certain message to sell you a product. Diets are a product. Plastic surgery is a product that we consume, because we are not content. So it's within a lot of people's best interests to keep pushing those messages. And that is something that's talked a lot about in the body positive movement. Nobody likes capitalism in the body positive movement. This is my sweary slide, sorry. What I want to leave you with is the realization that I had about my body and how I changed my mindset towards it. Not everyone is going to have that light bulb moment on their own. And so a really good place to start on your journey to being happier in your body, and as Petya was talking about before, is it is a journey. It is definitely, I had a change of mindset about my body, but I have worked at that for the past 2.5 years to stop me slipping back. And I have tried many, many different techniques and tips, which I talk about on my blog a lot, of how I have kept that up and how I suggest people bring behaviors into there every single day to try and keep that up. And I think as a really good place to start on your journey to being happier in your body is by getting involved in the body positive movement. Reading what these people are saying, following them online, absorbing the conversations and taking part in them. You know, our brains are really squishy. They're constantly learning, constantly absorbing information from the world around us. We believe what we surround ourselves with, and we believe what we tell ourselves. If you surround yourself with criticism, comparison, and toxic cultures, that's going to be your world. If you constantly criticize others, no wonder you think that everyone is criticizing you. If you indulge in negative self-talk, that negativity is going to be what you see when you look in the mirror every morning. And just as you nourish your body, you need to nourish your eyes and your mind too. So please be kinder to yourself and nourish yourself with the good stuff. And my suggestion is, if you can't quite be body confident yet, then try and be body positive. Thank you.